When we read James Joyce's works, we know it's going to be a hard task. Whether it's the Ulysses or the portrait of the artist, when you read these books, you know how Joyce is breaking down each moment into many more moments and probably making life more complicated for you. Or probably he's showing you the varieties, the experiences of life which you might ignore sometimes. The way he structures his sentences and the various literary techniques he uses. It's quite an intelligent art if you are curious about writing. Today I'm going to read a bit of some parts of a short story. It comes from a collection of stories by James Joyce. The collection is called Dubliners, and you would know it's about Dublin and people who live there. So let's start. She sat at the window, watching the evening invade the avenue. Her head was leaned against the window curtains, and in her nostrils was the odor of dusty cretonne. She was tired. Few people passed. The man out of the last house passed on his way home. She heard his footsteps clacking along the concrete pavement and afterwards crunching on the cinder path before the new red houses. One time there used to be a field there in which they used to play every evening with other people's children. Then a man from Belfast bought the field and built houses in it. Not like their little brown houses, but bright brick houses with shining roofs. The children of the avenue used to play together in that field. The Devines, the Waters, the Dunes, little Keo, the cripple, she and her brothers and sisters. Ernest, however, never played. He was too grown up. Her father used often to hunt them in out of the field with his blackthorn stick. But usually little Keo used to keep nix and call out when he saw her father coming. Still they seemed to have been rather happy then. Her father was not so bad then, and besides, her mother was alive. That was a long time ago. She and her brothers and sisters were all grown up. Her mother was dead. Dizzy Dune was dead too, and the Waters had gone back to England. Everything changes. Now she was going to go away like the others, to leave her home. Home. She looked round the room, reviewing all its familiar objects which she had dusted once a week for so many years, wondering where on earth all the dust came from. Perhaps she would never see again those familiar objects from which she had never dreamed of being divided. And yet, during all those years, she had never found out the name of the priest whose yellowing photograph hung on the wall above the broken harmonium beside the colored print of the promises made to Blessed Margaret Melly Alacoque. He had been a school friend of her father. Whenever he showed the photograph to a visitor, her father used to pass it with a casual word. "He's in Melbourne now." She had consented to go away, to leave her home. Was that wise? She tried to weigh each side of the question. Is her home anyway she had shelter and food? She had those whom she had known all her life about her. Of course, she had to work hard both in the house and at business. What would they say of her in the stores when they found out that she had run away with a fellow? Say she was a fool, perhaps? And her place would be filled up by advertisement. Miss Gavan would be glad. She had always had an edge on her, especially whenever there were people listening. And if you want to know what happens next, you know what you have to do. You have to read the story. The title of the story is Evelyn, and as I said, it's part of the collection called Dubliners.